Welcome to my podcast, The 1%, where we get 1% better every day. I'm your host, Tyrese Pearson, and I'm going to be taking you guys on a journey every week. Let's get it. Goal setting is key. If we don't set our goals, we can't get to where we need to be. And if we don't take the right steps in which we need to set those goals and to meet those goals, then we're going to continuously be in the same spot. Well, let's go over some ways that we can fix that and some ways that we can be attentive to our goals and reach those goals. Honestly, I think that we have to be intentional. See, we're not focused on being very intentional about our goals and we just write them down. Writing them down, honestly, is just the first step to where we need to go. It is the stepping stone to where we need to go, but it's not what completes the goal. See, we get caught up in the step of writing it down that we end up not doing it, and we just look at it constantly without taking the second step, which is proactively doing something that is making you 1% better to get closer to that goal. See, these goals that we talk about could be small, could be big, could be anything. But the fact that we're only taking the first step to get it shows us that we have to do more. As a whole, there's a lot of us that we map out our goals, we map out our year, we map out everything we want to do. And we only take steps for it every other day, every other month, instead of every day slowly taking those steps that will get us to get closer to the goal that we're trying to meet for that day, the month, the quarter, the year, anything. We have to take those constant steps day by day. It will only make us better at what we're doing and what we're trying to accomplish. To go deeper into that, if we are periodically going to hit our goals, we're never going to get there. Periodically doesn't make greatness. It takes consistency. It takes every day, and it takes every breath that you have to get to that goal while knowing what you believe in. Do you honestly believe that you're reaching a goal? Did you put a goal that is attainable for you? And if you did not, how are you going to reach that bigger goal? Because no goal is too big or too large for anyone. We have to know that if there's something that we want, we got to figure out a way to get it. And that's about being intentional about what we're doing. So we feel like the goal is a really big goal where there's some stuff that we need to do to reach that goal. Of course, it's going to be harder to reach some of your smaller goals. That's the point of it being a bigger goal. But we have to figure out a way to be intentional about writing these things down, about taking our next few steps to get to it past writing it down, understanding what we need to do daily. How can we get better daily? And how can we be effective in doing these things to get closer to where we need to be? And when you take that next step of step 2, what is next to get to the third step, fourth and fifth step to get closer to that goal? And depending on how big, like we talked about, how big is the goal, that would depend on those steps. See, these steps are where a lot of people get lost at, is even myself, is in sometimes we could put a goal and we have the goal and we take the first few steps, but we don't know what to do after because we're not being intentional, because we're not being consistent. Consistency builds character, but it also attacks the goal. No matter how small or large the consistency is, it attacks the goal. Inconsistency pushes the goal back. Now we're wondering months down the road why we didn't reach this goal because of what we've been doing. We haven't been intentional. We have to have a clear vision. A clear vision is something that everyone needs to have when you want to attain a goal, when you want to reach a goal, when you're trying to go for a goal. A goal it has become very, very broad. A lot like everything else we do in life has become very, very broad. So try to, when you're writing down these goals, to put it in a very way that is straightforward. We want to be straightforward about these goals. We don't want to know exactly what we are trying to do and what we are trying to reach. That clear vision, that clear motive is what is going to get us to the next level. Consistency is part of what we talked about first. with being intentional. But if you have a clear vision, now it is easier to be intentional about what you're doing. See, the intention comes from knowing that we know where the vision ends. We can look down that road and see it, but we know we got to pass each stop sign to get there. How can we get to each one before we get to that final light? It takes us to really be intentional about what we need to do to reach these goals. The clear vision is there, but we have to create it, or it can become very vague. Vagueness is not great to have for a goal. Why? Because then the inconsistency comes, because we feel like we can do anything to achieve that goal when it really needs to be a narrow road. The best road to take to get anywhere is straight line, one direction. Keep it simple. We focus so much on trying to do too much when it comes to building a goal. We focus on trying to do too much when it comes to building an empire, instead of being focused on the main goal, and that's to finish the goal that we put forward. Yes, there can be more goals. Yes, there can be more things we want to accomplish. But it takes the consistency of getting one thing done first to be able to do another. If we put our brain to one thing, to not just do one thing, but to accomplish this goal, we will be fundamentally sound on the things we need to do to get there. But if there's no clear vision, there is no way that we will be able to reach those goals that we need to reach. And what I want to talk about is, you have to make the small wins count. Those small wins build character. They build us. They help us get to that next level within the goal stage and help us take that next step. But if we don't manage the small wins, we can't get to the large ones. And then we're not enjoying the large one. See, in our culture today, everything is fast and everything is, we want the final piece of it. We want to see how everything looks at the end. And with that, we forget to enjoy the moments. We forget to enjoy the failure. We forget to enjoy the accomplishments. We forget to enjoy the little wins. We forget to enjoy the stuff that has always mattered. Small victories lead to larger victories. It's just like in a sport. You can't think you're going to win a game without practicing again those small wins throughout the week. Usually when you have a bad week of practice, the team usually has a bad game. There is no consistency. You have to be consistent with what you're doing. If we want these huge goals, we have to be able to attack it and take the wins day by day, the smaller wins, and just continuously get better at doing that. Because we take those smaller wins, we will start seeing growth that we never knew we had and that we never knew the Lord had for us, if we can use those smaller wins to fuel us. But if we're only looking at the big picture and looking all the way down that road like we talked about and just looking at the finish, now we're stuck. Because all we care about is the finished product. Now we care about nothing that was in the way of it. Now we care about nothing that we did to build it. We don't even remember stuff because all we're focused on is the end result. The end result gets us nothing if we don't understand and fully function through the small wins that we get, even the small losses. It's good to understand the way that you lost and understand how you lost and understand what you can do to fix that. Because a loss teaches you more lessons than a win. But make the small things count. If we don't make the small things count, we can never get to that goal the correct way. And then we'll be looking back on it like, I did this, I did that, but it don't feel no different. Well, it should. That was one of the goals you written down for yourself for the year, for the month, for the week, for the day. But you didn't respect or take time to understand the small victories and how you got there, to make it easier for you once you get to that next level and get to the bigger goal, to be able to continuously do that. There's a realm of reason why the small things matter and the little wins matter. It's a mental game. We have to be able to take those and continuously move on. Understand the dynamics of a small win. See, we like to sit and think that we have all the answers. We know what we're doing. It's something I run into all the time as well. But where are we failing at? Where are we failing at? I would like to say that we're failing at being too broad. Our goals are too broad. Instead of doing this to get this, we're doing this, that to get all of this at once. It doesn't work that way because now we're trying too many things at once and have no focus. Focus is going to be the key to get us to the next level that we need to get to. But because we're doing so much at once, we have no understanding of what's going on now, which goes back to enjoying the smaller wins. It is too broad. When it is too broad, there's too much going on. We have to narrow those goals down to exactly what we want, exactly when we want it. And if we don't achieve it then, that is when we go back to the drawing board and say, okay, let's tone it back. Let's do this. Let's get an understanding of this. But until then, we need to scale down how broad the goals are. If they're too broad, it's going to be too much going on in your life to attain them, especially if you're busy, especially if you have kids, especially if you have other responsibilities. Those goals that you set need to be narrow and straightforward. That doesn't mean to have small goals. You can have a big goal. Like I said, take the small wins. Like I said, be intentional. But having a narrow focused goal will get you where you need to be. It will get you to the next level to where you can have more goals that are bigger, that are more. We have to know and understand what exactly we want out of those goals to get to where we need to get. That is the understanding of why we're failing at goals right now, is because they're too broad. We're trying to accomplish too many things at once because we're trying to keep up with time. Yes, time is moving, but at the same time, you can control your narrative. It's about the work you put in to get it. It's about the mindset you put in to get it. We can't be overly broad with these goals because then at a point, when are you wasting time? It is an understanding of what exactly do we need to do to get this and to knock it down and to be completely finished with it and move on. That's how we continuously get better. But if we do not broaden down, to take these goals from a broad perspective and narrow them down, it's going to be trouble for us in the long run because now we're trying to accomplish way too much in a short distance of time. And if you don't believe in your goals, which is next. Oh man, if you don't believe in your goals, what are you doing them for? You hoping and wishing that it'll happen? Is it a goal or is it just a wish? Like, we have to know that our goals are something that we truly, really want from deep down inside, that we really want to get. We have to understand that where those goals are coming from. It's got to be within you to go get the goals that you set for yourself. If you don't understand that, you're strictly going to resist yourself. You're strictly going to, what's the word I'm looking for? You're strictly going to constrict yourself from doing something that you don't even want to do. So now we're setting the goals and you're just hoping that I do this, hoping that this happens, with no clear, concise vision to get to where you need to get down that road where the goal ends and you start a new one. But we truly don't even believe in the first one. So how do we even accomplish a goal that we don't believe in. It's almost impossible. It's almost impossible. Something that you don't believe in is just not going to happen overnight if you just believe. Because mentally you checked out of it already. Your goal is out of the window because you don't believe. And you set something that you don't even in your mind see yourself doing. Well, I'm here to tell you you're bigger than that. You're stronger than that. And mentally, you're more tough than that. It's just about what we can do to get to that next level of setting your goals. Can we take the time to write it down? Can we take the time to look over it every morning? Can we take a time to get an understanding of it? But first, we have to know this is something that we want to do. And if it's something that we want to do, everything else will eventually fall into place. And now it's just about how do we be intentional? How do we get a clear understanding of it? How do we narrow down our focus? How do we have a clear vision? And once we have those things, the goal becomes easy to accomplish. Yes, it still takes work. Yes, it still takes knowing where you want to get. But then the goal becomes easier to accomplish when we know exactly what we're doing and looking for. Instead of having this broad, and we don't care about the vision. Can't happen that way. It's like if you're running a business and you're hiring people, would you care to hire someone who didn't care about your goals and vision for your business? I'm pretty sure you wouldn't care to hire them because of the simple fact that they don't fit your narrative. They don't fit what your business is doing. So it makes no sense to hire them because it's not a fit. Your goals have to fit you. Your goals have to fit your mindset. If you know that your mindset isn't to do something grand, don't have a big goal. Have something that is narrow. Have something that is smaller. Have something that you can attain and you could keep and you can build up. Because I feel like all of us within us have it to where we can reach a big goal that we have. Have it to where we can reach a big dream that we have. But correctly is the way we have to do it. We have to be able to see that vision, have that vision, understand that vision, and have a narrow focus to it. And then we will get closer to accomplishing that goal. But until then, it's work. We have to work. We have to build ourselves. We have to understand ourselves. We have to go back to the drawing board and see who we really are before we start getting into these goals again. Who are we? And why are we even doing these goals? Why do we even have these goals? And what do we even really want to accomplish? That's a real question. Because for ourselves, we don't necessarily understand sometimes what we really want to do. We just do it. Sometimes it's a good mindset to have. But if we're talking about accomplishing goals, we need to get to where we say, I know what I want to do. I know exactly what I want to do. These are the steps to doing it. And this is exactly how I'm going to do it. And if something comes along the way that is a conflict or messes up or knocks us off our road or is a bumpy road, we will figure out a way to get over that hump. We will figure out a way to go around it. We will figure out a way to go through it. But we will figure out a way. We will accomplish this goal. We will get down this road because the next goal is waiting there for you. See, we have this and we're ready for it, but it's about the mindset. It's about getting that 1% better every time we do it, every day, every hour, every second. How are we getting closer to those goals that we need to accomplish to be a better person, to have a better life for our families, to have a better life for ourselves, for our children if you have them? We have to be attentive to those goals. That is how we reach it. And how can we fix it? Like I said, intentional. But also, let's start with something small. You want to start with something that is easier to reach first. Now you know what to do to get to the next one. It's practice. Practice is everything that we need. Practice is everything that gives us the will to get to the next destination. Practice. That's how we win. That's how we understand. That's how we accomplish. But if we get no practice, we get no wins.